Sam wakes up in his apartment after having the weirdest dream. In this one, something was calling him to look through the window. So he did, because why wouldn't you follow the mysterious whispering voice in your sleep? Outside, he saw a staircase leading straight into the night sky. Then, because this day hasn't been weird enough, a voice starts speaking from the wall. It's a woman named Sybil, his next door neighbor. Just hanging out inside the wall, she apologizes for telling him to look outside earlier. Apparently there was a massive cataclysm overnight. Anyone who looked outside or was already outside turned into mutated nightmare creatures with a dental plan from hell. Naturally, upon hearing this, my first instinct is, well, I have to look outside. Curiosity killed the cat, they say, but I'm no cat. I'm an idiot with nothing better to do. Got it. I never look outside ever again. Sybil tells me there is something up in the sky that is too dangerous to look at. She thinks it will all blow over in about 15 days. I have two ways: to play games for 15 days straight or try to save the world. There must be a hero, right? Before I go, Sybil asks if we can exchange news through the wall from time to time. Not for survival or anything, she just doesn't want to get bored. Fair enough, Sam brushes his teeth, cooks a few snacks, and pretends this is all a perfectly ordinary Tuesday. Although he's unemployed, he has enough resources and food stockpiled for an extended horror show. He goes out to see what's happening in the building. Turns out a lot of tenants didn't get the memo about not looking outside. Some were checking the weather, some heard screaming. One was a literal baby who, surprise surprise, didn't know any better. That baby? Sam's neighbor. She grew teeth all over her body, like a walking jaw from hell. First she nibbled on her mom, then bit her brothers, and finally chewed on dear old dad. I try to help where I can. As long as no one tries to bite me, I pick up a teddy bear and hand it to the older brother, Joel, whose face is basically a baby tooth convention. I tell him school's out forever, no more homework, no more chores, and his parents went out for milk and left me in charge. So technically his pocket change is mine now. He calls me a moron. Rude, but fair. He figured out what's going on. His parents are not going back. And anyway, he says he'd rather hang out with me than stay in the Monster Mash apartment. So I guess I have a friend now. I pay a visit to his little brother. Pre-Calamity, he was maybe 4 or 5. Now he's a stationary set of chompers with limbs. He's still a baby though, and I don't want to hurt him. I give him a hug and play toy soldiers with him until he fades into obscurity. Which honestly is probably the sanest thing to happen today. Next to his lifeless little body, I find a cage with a guinea pig inside. I am extra sensitive today and also not leaving the guinea pig to die alone in a corpse rave. He's my emotional support potato now. Just as I am leaving, the sister shows up. And let me tell you, she's not a baby anymore. She's the size of a minivan and still crying. She tries to eat me, but I'm armed to the teeth myself, so she scuttles off under the floor. Probably to cry into the void and crave a hug she will never get. Another neighbor had a very unique response to the situation. He decided his chest skin was blocking his inner eye, so he did the logical thing and carved it open. Now his eye can see. Well, we do not see eye to eye on his whole stabbing lifestyle, so I put him down. Well, it's late already. I go back to my room, eat snacks, play some video games, because what else should you do during an apocalypse? Then I scroll through creepy memes and live streams of the world unraveling and fall asleep. Next morning, someone knocks on the door. I know I'm not supposed to open it. Sybil told me like 20 times. But I am human and possibly very dumb, so I open it. It's a jack dude selling sports gear. I buy a few bats, medicine and resistance bands and chat about how awful everything is. Honestly, I wanna be his friend. Thinking back, opening the door to a stranger during a reality meltdown wasn't my brightest moment. But hey, it worked out. This time, I spent the rest of the day roaming the 3rd floor. Some apartments look like winter moved in and forgot to leave. That's when it hits me. The cataclysm doesn't just mutate people, it turns their nightmares into a home makeovers TV show. I keep pushing further in, convinced I can handle whatever happens next. Worst case, I run back to my apartment screaming like a baby, with better cardio now, thanks to my resistance bands. After killing a few frozen mutated hockey players, I got bolder and went downstairs, because nothing screams good idea like walking deeper into an apocalyptic building. That's where I found a mysterious man in black robes named Aster. He and his 4 astronomer colleagues had been researching the cataclysm months before it even started. Apparently they were somewhat successful. Their conclusion? There is something in space, and they need to contribute 4 artifacts to a special ritual they saw in their dreams. They can't really describe the artifacts. All they know is that each one seems to depict a vision of the visitor in the sky. The first contribution, according to Aster, is a painting of the mighty being up there. When I got home over dinner, Joel casually says he knows a painter on the first floor who might be able to help. I decide to chill for a bit first. I mean, it's the end of the world. What's the rush? While I'm playing games, I hear banging on the door again. This time it's two friendly punks looking for a place to crash overnight. They seem totally fine, well, fine-ish, compared to our other neighbors, who mostly scream, mutate or try to eat you, so I let them in. Regret comes swiftly. Without a second thought, they take over Sam's bedroom and blast music loud enough to rattle the bones of the dead, which is not great, considering the dead might actually respawn. Now that there are four of us, I figure it's time to visit the painter. The first floor is, well, unrecognizable, endless, dark and twisty, like someone asked a rat to design a maze, where, by the way, I get ambushed by all types of ugly rodents, which feels like a very on-brand welcome. Eventually, I find the painter, Frederick. He's a nervous wreck, begging for help. A few days before the cataclysm, he looked at the night sky, got inspired and started painting. The next day, he realized something was off. His friend looked at the painting, made a noise like a possessed blender, and ran out of the apartment. Then everything went to hell. Now Frederick's masterpieces have come to life. They are hiding around his workshop, each one wanting to replace him, and he can hear their thoughts constantly. It's like he's living with 9 versions of himself, each one more unhinged than the last one. He thinks it's because he poured so much soul and possibly trauma into his work that the paintings literally became part of him. He doesn't want to be replaced or murdered by his art. So he asks me to kill his 9 twisted twins and take the cursed painting he made. He warns me very specifically not to look at it and gives me a case to transport the canvas safely. Each of his so-called masterpieces insists they are the real Frederick, but I am not buying it. I mean, look at them. One is hiding in a closet and it takes serious effort and supplies to coax him out. Another looks lost and confused, genuinely sweet. He even heals our wounds out of what seems like pure goodwill. For a second I believe him. I catch myself thinking maybe I could let him live. Then I snap out of it because manipulation is real. He is an excellent salesman and I almost bought it. Still, when he dies, he's confused, genuinely hurt. He thought I was his friend, and honestly, that stings. I realized Frederick didn't just paint with soul, he painted with emotion. Love, fear, loneliness, all of it spilled out onto the canvas. Now I have to fight it, one guilt trip at a time. When I finally reach the warehouse, there is no light at all. Total pitch black. I have to feel around, touching canvases until I find the right one, because it's still wet. After touching everything and everybody everywhere, it was sticky, not recommended, I finally find the painting. I stash it inside the case and rush back to Frederick to tell him he's free of his burden. He gives me a paint palette, neat little thing. It inflicts random debuffs on enemies as long as I'm holding it in my left hand. Before I leave, I get curious, which means greedy. I attack Frederick just to see if he's hiding anything useful. When he falls, I loot his body and find a torn-off face, which means yeah, that wasn't Frederick. The creature took his face to impersonate him. I'd been working for an imposter the whole time. Feeling thoroughly used and emotionally exhausted, I leave. This time, the rope guys need a photograph of the being in the sky. Luckily, I have some resourceful neighbors. One of them owns a projector that can imprint an image onto photo paper. As for the image itself, I found an empty disc that might do the trick. Sybil mentions she heard strange footsteps in the hallway last night, but when she looked, no one was there. Spooky? Yeah. Useless? Surprisingly no. Another neighbor next door leaves his door open and writes about help on the wall. Inside, his den is totally empty, unless you count the very audible shambling around. I help myself to various items, including a note. In it, my lovely and possibly deranged neighbor Edwin describes his descent into madness. Apparently, he'd been watching the wish-granting being for months. The more he looked, the more he saw. The secrets of the universe unraveling before his eyes. Unfortunately, this came at a cost. His speech started to deteriorate, his hands got clumsy, and he became hypersensitive to light. Still, he embraced it. He wanted more. He needed more. Then the door creaks open by itself and the word hello is being drawn on the floor. I get the hint from the notes and turn off the lights. That's Edwin now, a creature made of eyeballs and telescopes. With the lights off, I search his mutated apartment. It's covered in twitching, living meat. Gross. But I won't stay hungry tonight. In the observation room, I use the light from the being in the sky to make an imprint on the disc. Next, I use the projector to transfer the image on the photo paper. Now I need to develop the photo paper. My neighbor on the second floor offers to help, but only in exchange for one juicy kiss on her lips. Unfortunately, I couldn't keep my curiosity in check and accidentally took a peek while she was kinda naked. Imagine hooking up with someone during the apocalypse, only to discover that their true form makes you want to kick the bucket. What would you do? Anyway, I kissed her again later. 2 artifacts down, 2 to go. Next, a VHS tape that recorded the being and a manuscript describing it. To get to the next offering, I need access to the ground floor, but I can't proceed without 2 discs. One that shows Mars, which I already have, and another one, the Earth. The Earth disc's guardian demands a sacrifice of flesh. I head to the first floor, where I've been hearing non-stop baby crying. Inside one apartment I find the source, a huge anthropomorphic red baby. It's inhumane what I'm about to do next. With no other options and not in the mood to lose one of my hands, which was the other sacrifice option, I do what must be done. It's awful. I feel revolted, but also relieved. Better the red baby than my hand. While wandering the ground floor, I hardly avoid getting flattened by a bus that crashes through a wall. Life plays a cruel joke on me. The bus is full of mutated people who all resemble giant fingers. They might have infested the building, but they've also opened up some new opportunities. They finally unlocked the landlord's door, which means I can now politely break into his apartment to grab the key to the basement. Very legal, very cool. Unfortunately, Mr. Henderson used to be a soldier, and now he's in a wheelchair. He can't fight back for long, being stuck in one place. He's seen some real horrors, but even war couldn't prepare him for the absolute nightmare currently happening. A monster crawled into his mouth and is now making something to his body that will forever change him. He groans something about antibiotics, which are in his bathroom, but by the time I come back he's missing and so is the exit. Instead of escaping, I'm forced to live through his PTSD fever dream. His apartment has transformed into a pixelized version of Saving Private Ryan designed by Satan. There are landmines in the kitchen, tanks in the living room, soldiers who look like sad Christmas trees draped in dog tags. And the cherry on top, I am stuck until I pay off Sam's debts for his apartment. Once I pay everything off to Mr. Henderson, who looks like if Rambo married a meat grinder, I get the key to the basement. My next mission is to find a VHS tape that captured the visitor in the sky. So I'm down in the basement strolling through classic creepy corridors when I run into Beryl, an astronomer, or at least a woman with strong opinions about space. She brings me up to speed. Apparently Sybil, the founder and 5th researcher, thought the horrific mutations the visitor gave people were just failed attempts at saying hello, because apparently that's what language-friendly alien speaks, the language of pain and suffering. Sybil kept watching the visitor through her telescope until she turned into something less human, more insane. After she lost her mind and her body let her down, Jasper, who was tragically crushing on her, almost gave up on life. But here is where things get juicy. Beryl insists Sybil lived on the 1st floor. Meanwhile, my neighbor is also a Sybil, lives on the 3rd floor. 2 Sybils, 1 building, 0 sanity. And honestly, it makes sense. In a nonsense cosmic horror kind of way. I think Sybil stared too long at the visitor and mutated into some kind of all-seeing flesh slug that now lives between the walls like a weirdly helpful minced meat. I mean, she sees everything, blocks off dangerous areas, shares info with me, not the worst neighbor. Sure, she's 95% insolent for walls and 5% ice now, but she still cares. That's cute. Beryl just keeps repeating that they are looking for images of the visitor from their visions, so the VHS tape must be close. Eventually I find the security room and the security guard, who's definitely watched so much visitor TV that now he's the part of the show. I pop the VHS tape into the recorder to capture the visitor on the tape. I've gotta get back to my apartment soon, cause it's getting weirder by the hour, and sleep deprivation is making me see stuff like this. Please welcome thing I can't describe. Then there is the black goo creature. Ominous? Yes. Surprisingly cuddly? Also yes. It's been showing up occasionally, but now it just crawled into my apartment like it pays rent. Zaria and Montgomery, my roommate slash neighbor slash pain in the ass, let it in the bedroom. Our bedroom. I go to give it a hug, thinking it's my friend now, but the second it starts touching me in certain places, I draw a line. I'm not ready to get married to a faceless blob. Not yet. Maybe in an hour, depending on what my parents say. The next morning I get back to the basement and then to the parking lot. High quality nightmare fuel that place is. The cars are fused with people, like a transformer and a person went on a bad Tinder date. One car tried to offer me a ride. to hell. I declined politely with a flamethrower. Then there is this gross, grumpy creature keeping the elevator hostage. Once I send it back to the void, I reach the first floor and stumble into the writer's room. And what do I find? A man who's become one with his typewriter. Literally. I deal with him, bring along a manuscript describing the visitor, and with all artifacts collected, I make my heroic return to Jasper. He is hyped, there is a glimmer of hope. He hands me a key to the roof and a robe. Standard ritual attire to protect myself from unwanted body change in surgery. We are going to try to finish this thing the only way we know how. A lot of chanting, crying, and aping, so maybe the visitor dies of cringe. So I got to the roof, and wow, the world. Total mess. Imagine a bad acid trip but designed by Picasso and Satan as a group project. Colors were everywhere, buildings were melting in the sky like cheese in a microwave, and creatures, straight up nightmares. Tentacles, eyes, limbs, more limbs. Basically Mother Nature said, what if no laws of physics, what if chaos? We figured it was now or never. Let's see if all the cursed junk I collected meant anything. Beryl was up there. She grabbed the VHS tape, looked at it, expecting cosmic truth or an alien cameo. But no, what she got was a hallway. Turns out the tape had picked up footage from one of the building's security cams. It didn't even cross my mind that the recorder might just be taping whatever. Beryl snapped, instantly lost it and mutated into a sentient flesh-torrid brush. I need bleach for my eyes, out of 10 experience. Next was Aurelius. He had been hunting for the painting. He took it out of the case and we could behold what was on the canvas. I wasn't sure about anything anymore. Yeah, it was a painting of a lighthouse. He blinked. Then his head split like a watermelon and thin black hands grew out of him, making a hand tree. Gosh, I'm already blind after the bleach, but I still see it. This was the moment I realized I might have been the worst chosen one possible. Then I recalled where exactly I failed everybody the second time. When I found that painting in Frederick's warehouse, I remembered that the easel had wet blue paint. But when I touched the painting, I had black paint on my fingers. And what did I do? I said, cool, definitely cursed, and black, because whatever, and pocketed it in like a moron. At least I couldn't have messed up with the photo, right? I triple-checked that thing. High-res, spooky vibes, definitely captured the visitor mid-glare. I was confident giving it to Asper, and yes, bingo, finally a win. Then was the manuscript. I was pretty sure I was able to read. The primary school that I was expelled from taught me how to do it. It only takes half an hour to read my name in my ID. Jasper took the manuscript about the visitor and headed over to the ritual site. There, at the ritual site, the last two astronomers were warming up the summoning circle. They offered only 2 correct artifacts. A massive fireball opened in the sky. It was not impressed. Then, a second after, Aster and Jasper fused like a meat milkshake. They immediately started attacking us like we owed them rent. Well, we owed them the world, but still, chill guys. Eventually we won the fight, sure, but it felt like the end is near. Wounded, Sam stumbled back into his apartment. His friends looked horrified. He was absolutely soaked in blood. He rushed to the bathroom to wash his face, probably hoping soap would undo the apocalypse. But everything had ended in complete failure. There was nothing more to be done. At least Sam was fine. Or was he? He noticed a third arm, then a fourth, then a sixth. He closed his eyes, started counting to 10 and tried to breathe. He knew there was nothing else he could do. Something was changing, something was growing. He couldn't keep his eyes closed anymore. He looked at himself. The ritual had failed. This was one of the worst endings possible. Another worse option could have happened if I'd brought everything wrong. All the astronomers would have transformed and Sam would have joined them in the Cosmic Monstrosity fan club. However, if I had brought the right offerings, the 4 astronomers would have fused into one hideous creature with many eyes and wings, like a seraphim redesigned by someone who hates sanity. They'd still have a few questions left to answer before losing their mind and bringing full-on destruction to the world. They started to feel what the visitor felt and explained that it came to Earth because Sybil looked at it. The visitor felt her gaze. It wasn't trying to hurt anyone. It had never seen anything like humans before, and it just wanted to say hi. But its version of hi was cosmic radiation and soul distortion. Not its fault really, but bad first impression for sure. The 4 astronomers wouldn't last long. They'd lose control and attack Sam and his friends. The angelic creature would be defeated by good old eye shooting dozens of times and finally brought down. Then Sam began floating into the sky, closer to the being. Under the agonizing stare of the visitor, Sam is disassembled quickly, but then the visitor would fix him. They connected. The creature asked about the 4 items Sam was holding. He explained the astronomer's plan and that humanity was suffering because of the creature's presence. The visitor was stunned. He didn't know it was hurting people. It had never met beings like humans before. It asked if it should leave. Sam said yes. The visitor understood its harmful nature and something new began to stir within it. Before, it was just mindlessly drifting through space with one purpose: to find a dark, cold place. Now it could feel, and it agreed to leave. But before going, the visitor asked Sam if he wanted to see it, the real it. The eye was just an image, it explained. Sam, being Sam, couldn't resist the temptation. He said yes. The visitor planted a vivid image in Sam's mind. He didn't see it, he felt it. He felt the scale. At first, Earth seemed like a ping-pong ball, but then the vision got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now the sun was barely a spark in comparison. Sam's mind gave out, his childhood memories, language and sense of time all melted away. But it wasn't even close to the visitor's true size yet. Sam's body gave up. The visitor disappeared, but it left something behind, a terrible beast. Most of humanity was wiped out within months. The creature devoured people by the dozen. Those who tried to communicate with it became part of it. Those who hid in caves only delayed the inevitable. The beast dug deeper, second by second. It grew until it covered the earth. The planet vanished beneath its limbs. The screams of devoured would never be heard again. That was the perfect ritual ending. Sam did have another choice: to deny the visitor's offer to witness its true form. If he had, the visitor would have left peacefully, but Sam would have transformed into a mindful creature with many limbs. Instead of devouring humanity, he'd help them, build cities, solve their problems, become a neighborhood-friendly demigod, like a giant emotional support octopus. He'd become as common and comforting as a tree. After the cataclysm, people had lost much, but under Sam's protection, there was hope, unity and healing. And the best part, Sam was still officially unemployed. No more 9 to 5, just saving humanity and vibing. That was the denial ending. Another ending could have happened if Sam listened to the 4 astronomers and fled from the final fight. They would have lost their minds completely and merged into the ever-watchful judge, a godlike being with no sense of justice. It would hover through the skies, screaming and siphon people away, leaving nothing behind but their clothes. 90% of humanity would be gone in a month. Some survivors even sacrificed themselves, hoping the angelic creature would take them to a better place. Well, we can only guess if they were right. And then there is the eternal fate ending. If Sam offered his guinea pig to Jasper before the ritual, they'd unknowingly contribute XIN-AMON to the visitor, a chaos rodent from the void. It would absorb the remaining astronomers and mutate into something unspeakable. If Sam lost the fight, the god rat would be born. It would roam the earth, consuming everything, its hunger unending. Its hide would be covered in countless screaming faces, everyone it had eaten still conscious, still suffering. If Sam managed to defeat XIN-AMON, the victory wouldn't last. The astronomers' minds, once absorbed, had held the creature back. When they gave out, the rodent exploded in growth. Its gut flesh swallowed buildings, cities, Sam. Tumors would spread all over his body as fast as liquid. Guinea pig eyes would open all over his body, looking for something to consume. Sam's own face would do. Eventually the screaming stopped, but the hunger didn't. The moon was reduced to gravel. The hungry planet XIN-AMON drifted into space, looking for the next snack. That was the XIN-AMON ending. And there is one more ending at last. If Sam ignored everything, stayed in his apartment, played games for 15 days straight, looted every corner or found all the secrets, then one day he'd look out the window and see the world was already over. The visitor had left, but it didn't fix anything. Grotesque humans, now called the Cursed, roamed outside. Some retained intellect and tried to reintegrate into human society. Others just screamed and caused chaos. And at the same time there was the 100 gods, 124 massive, highly intelligent, bloodthirsty creatures ruling the world. No one was sure where they came from. Some said they were people who won some cruel cosmic lottery, others thought they were left behind by the visitor to govern the place. Whatever the truth, the 100 gods cults were the closest thing to a government. Paranoia, psychosis, despair were the only vibes left. No one had the energy to hope anymore. And what happened to Sybil? After the visitor left, her apartment was empty, except for a gaping hole in the wall. I believe the visitor took her. She could finally find a way to properly communicate with the visitor. After all, she was the one who knew about 15 days. How could she possibly know that? From the visitor, I guess. Then she became one with it, traveling the stars forever, since she had nothing left on Earth. That was the final ending, no going back. I believe this story and the game itself were one of the best representations of elder gods, cosmic beings and the terrifying unknown. I loved the gross transformations, how nightmares became reality, and especially that the visitor wasn't evil. Just too massive, too different to ever connect with humanity safely. And most of the endings? Completely hopeless. There is no hero, no chosen one, just desperate choices and unimaginable consequences, which honestly might be the most realistic outcome. I appreciate my normal life way more after finishing this game. Thanks for creating such a brilliant. And thanks for watching, subscribe if you made it this far, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next terrifying cosmic upload. Bye.